The evidence and information shared during Young Thug's trial today left him feeling a little weird inside of the courtroom. As it would be reported, Young Thug appears uncomfortable, restless, unsettled, and irritated throughout today's examinations, based on body language, heavy breathing, bad posture, and wandering eyes, as this trial is really affecting him and his emotions from the mistrial talks, as Young Thug's lawyers are pushing for a mistrial after it would be reported today a juror has been dismissed in the Young Thug YSL Rico trial and being replaced with an alternate after being in the hospital over the weekend.
I'm in receipt of the admission form, and as of current, she is still in the hospital. Her anticipated release date potentially is this coming Wednesday. So, much as I like to wait till Wednesday, I'm going to probably have to go ahead and excuse her due to illness. So, does anybody wish to be heard about that issue?
Your Honor, before we do that, can I just figure out who 269 is?
All right, and I'll let you take a look at I'm going to mark this as the next court exhibit in order, as well as I'm going to seal it for purposes of juror confidentiality.
As the Rico trial is having major issues with the jurors, it's likely going to result in a mistrial, as DJ Akademiks would report of another situation. Members of the jury were shown on live stream, and people believe this is why the judge called the attorneys to his chambers for a potential mistrial. Reports would then come out from No Jumper. Fans are already identifying jury members on Young Thug's trial after the courtroom camera accidentally revealed their faces. A commenter would say, "I know that guy with the glasses on, that's Dante Wilson, he is on the jury," as his comment would then be liked by DJ Akademiks. This would result in Dante Wilson, the juror, needing to be removed, as it's a very serious deal that he's been spotted. It's a massive safety concern, especially in a case such as this, where Young Thug is the alleged leader of a massive street team. With so many jury issues, to understand Young Thug's release date, we now need to dive deep into how bad the prosecutors truly are. The prosecutors are having a hard time even asking simple questions to witnesses that they bring onto the stand.
As it relates to a musical artist's words, is there any crime in saying words?
There are certainly potentially crimes in spoken words.
All right. Now, I'm not talking about crimes being described in words. I'm speaking of, is there a crime to speak the words?
As a generality, no. Outside of...
Your Honor, that was the answer to the question. And
So it's non-responsive, is that what you're saying? Okay, I sustain this as non-responsive.
Have you ever sought to arrest anyone for speaking words in a song?
No, ma'am.
But it's when the prosecutors would bring this witness to the stand named Melissa Rozier, where a report would go and read, "In Thug's Rico trial, Melissa Rozier, a house mom at the Pony South Club outside of Atlanta, testifies about getting carjacked on her way home from work," as she would break down how a YSL member would end up stealing her vehicle while she was driving home.
Stopped at the stop sign and I felt someone hit me. I looked up and saw a car. I didn't want to block the entrance, so I pulled on to the right, which is the direction I would have taken to go home anyway. So I turned to the right, stopped, got out of my car, turned it off. I left my keys and everything in my car. The subdivision in which I was living at the time, a lot of Delta people worked there. People were coming and going all hours of the day and night. I mean, women would be pushing babies in strollers 5:30 in the morning out running. So I thought nothing of it. I got out and turned the car off, like I said, left the door open, everything in the car. I walked towards the back of the car. A young man got out of his car. I greeted him. He greeted me. I looked down at the bumper and saw no damage. And I really, at that point, was going to look up and say, "Honey, I'm tired, I'm going home, you go home."
With her explaining it all began with a very small bump to her vehicle, where she would then have to hop out and see what the damage was like. However, what happens next is the serious crime, as she would then break down how the YSL member stole her vehicle.
And as I looked up, I saw someone in his car rising up, and he was running around me. I guess my mind knew something was about to happen, something that wasn't good, but it happened so fast. He got in my car, and because of the backpack, my mind just focused on the backpack. I opened the back left passenger's door, thinking I could reach into the front seat and get the backpack, and the backpack, because it had my daddy's CD in it and my camera. So I reached in to get that, and I guess instinct, I don't know, God said just let it go. So I stepped back and actually shut the door myself. And he drove off. At that point, I think the other car had already gone.
As this crime occurred 10 years ago in 2013, the state would then ask her if she knew a man named Trontavia Stevens, aka Slug, the co-founder of YSL, who took a plea deal in December of 2022. She said that she didn't remember his name at all, though, making her testimony feel a little strange. However, what really won the jury over for Young Thug is when the state would call the officer that was in charge of investigating this crime back in 2013, who would end up providing little to no evidence at all, where he would end up making up lies about Young Thug on the stand inside a court, which is highly illegal, as in trial he would claim that Young Thug and YSL members were teasing him by throwing up hand signs.
I observed them come out of the building with their attention already focused
Where?
on the vehicle that I was driving, myself and my partner.
Okay.
And then they immediately began throwing signs and yelling at us.
Had you done anything to that group of gentlemen before they came out, focusing on you and your partner, throwing signs and yelling at you?
No, ma'am.
As moments after, it would then be reported Young Thug's lawyers are going to work. Atlanta officer is getting cross-examined after accusing Thug of flashing hand signs at him. Thug's lawyers are asking why this wasn't in the original report.
When you testified a while ago for the state, and they asked you a couple questions about this, you said they were flashing signs, right?
Correct.
Right. Now, you didn't say that in your report, though, did you?
No.
And I mean, you wrote a 2-page report, and it was very detailed about everything that happened and everyone who was involved, down to names and dates of births, right?
Right.
You even put a serial number in there, right?
Yes.
And you're trained as a police officer that anything that is of significance, like if you think, for example, something is related, you put that in the report, right?
Right.
But that report, the same one that she had you read, right, because you can remember some stuff, in that third paragraph where it talks about what you saw those people doing, you ain't say nothing about, I saw the signs, right?
Correct.
This would end up going viral on social media as people would end up tweeting, "Dog, the defense in the Young Thug trial is going off on the state witness for lying, saying that he saw hand signs being thrown at him." As even inside of the courtroom, people would allege that Thug ended up laughing so hard that he began crying. As Meek Mill would then even tweet, "Jeff is gonna beat this case, it's just too messy," as we now have police officers lying in his trial on the stand. Things would continue to get even better for Young Thug, which helps us figure out his soon release date, as to understand when, you need to hear what Thug's lawyers did, as he ripped across all of the evidence that the prosecutors had, sharing the truth about his team affiliation, his lyrics, and what his rap name even means. As first he would go on to explain what Young Thug truly stands for.
That was not what Thug meant to Jeffrey. Thug meant and means to Jeffrey something very personal. It was his path. But if he could ever make it as a musical artist and help his family, himself, and as many others out of this endless cycle of hopelessness, he would be truly humble under God. That's what Thug means.
Trying to give Young Thug a good look inside of the courtroom to the new jury, he would then go on to explain what the song Pushing P stands for, as apparently it means pushing positivity.
That is a P. Jeffrey's fingers are down. And what you'll learn is that Jeffrey just released, with Sergio Kitchens, performed on Gunna, a song that is wildly popular. It's around the globe. It's called Pushing P. And it's positivity. It means any circumstance you're in, if you think positively about something, you can make it through. You're pushing positivity. You're pushing P. Jeffrey is showing the P.
Thug's lawyer would then finish it up, breaking down some of the lyrics in Thug's song. As a report would read, the state says that when Young Thug said 24M on a man, that he was talking about putting money on someone. In reality, Young Thug was talking about the $24 million diamond Lil Uzi Vert got in his forehead.
It is the rapper with the surgically implanted pink diamond in his forehead. The police bury this. The prosecution buries this. I will show it to you. Now, the evidence will show, they may say, oh, we're sorry. We made a mistake. There's no mistakes here. This is a big deal. This is a bill of indictment in Fulton County, Georgia in 2023.
It's important to note this entire jury has no idea who Young Thug is or that he even is a rapper. This is why the trial took so long to start, was because they had to find mostly elderly people that didn't know who Young Thug was in Atlanta, which is extremely hard to do. So them hearing all of this information from his lawyer about what Young Thug is truly about is a really good thing. Thug's lawyer would finish up his statement telling the jury that Young Thug is a Studio G. He doesn't do any of the real life stuff. He only talks about it for entertainment and music.
He's not unique and say, oh, that's the Donovan Thomas Tom. Jeffrey sings about cars all the time. He names all different cars. They just pulled out the top. These are common themes. This is, you will learn, studio. They're in the studio. They are creating music for us to listen to.
Having the judge also be angry at the prosecutors ends up making Thug look even better from the jury's perspective, as today in trial, the judge had to ask the prosecutors to stay out of his business.
Is there anything else at this point in time?
Your Honor, did juror number 39...
Yo, would you stay out of my business, Miss Love?
Oh, well.
Stay out of my business.
Judge,
Look,
I'm sorry.
I've been doing this a long time. Yes, I have, yes. And if you really must know, she's going to reschedule her appointment to the week of the King holiday. You happy? No, you're not happy. But anyways, that's the explanation you're going to get. I'm on top of it. Okay. All right. Yes, Mr. Sharp.
As another report would be announced, judge in the Young Thug trial isn't happy with the state because they never turned in all of the slides they planned on using in their opening statement.
Is there anything else you're going to use in opening you haven't shown to defense counsel? He's telling us. Well, I said that. I told you to do that a week ago. Because here's what I told you was going to happen. I've got a jury that's out right now that's being interrupted. And Mr. Williams, you should have made your motion or should have told me about that an hour ago or when you found out about it. Not hijack me at the bench about that. You did what you had to do, but I'm not happy about that. I'm not happy about any of this. Because this is stuff we could take care of before our jury comes in. And that makes you all, lessen your ability as advocates and lessen our ability for this jury to go ahead and get this case seamlessly. This is what I told you all was going to happen. So,
as the judge stated in the start of that clip, he already told the prosecutors to have everything ready, have all of their slides and evidence ready for the opening day, but they didn't.
Your Honor, we would ask because we would ask that all of this be reserved for the 16th because this all came up in September. You said you allowed us to.
I am really annoyed about this, Ms. Fulton. I just am. This is ridiculous. Your witness list has grown by 2/3 since then. And I don't know why. You better have a dang good explanation on the 16th because if you don't, I'm going to exclude it. Okay. But right now, I'm telling you, without anything further, it's gone.
Well, we would like to
exclude a lot more on that date because this is ridiculous. There is no plausible explanation I've gotten and that would suffice that we just kind of keep, you keep dripping and driving out evidence.
as the prosecutors are trying to sneak in 200 plus witnesses to come to trial and share crimes that young thug allegedly committed, all while not sharing the names of these witnesses or even what crimes they actually saw. The trial is already stressing out the judge so bad, he had to bring in a service dog just to help calm him down.
Right here behind me is this bell that starts jingling, all right? And if you hear a jingling sound like a bell, please don't think that I'm doing anything creepy up here, all right? I have a service dog behind me. His name is Jack. I think some of you may have seen him already. He lives the best life ever. He's pampered. He's really, and he is a Labrador Retriever. He's about almost 2.5, 3 years old at this point in time. So, but if you hear that bell, that's him moving around, all right? He doesn't bark. He rarely gets interested in what's going on, so he might come up here and look, but that's about it, all right? Don't bring him any food either, okay? All right? He is spoiled rotten. So please don't try and throw any food back here behind me or anything like that. He doesn't need anything else, okay? But if you hear that bell, hear that sound.
Trying to have the prosecution look just a smidge better inside of the courtroom, they would just reveal that whenever YSL members would get in trouble in sticky situations in the streets, instead of calling Young Thug and telling him the issue they're having, they would end up having to call Young Thug's sister, who would then relay the message to Young Thug.
You will hear evidence that when members and associates of YSL got in trouble, got locked up, the first person they called was either this defendant or one of his family members. Now, they didn't call him directly because he knew and they knew that he needed to have distance between himself and the crimes members and associates of YSL were committing on behalf of. So they would reach out to his sister and have his sister reach out to somebody else and eventually get back to King Slime, as they call him.
Which honestly seems like it's the only thing they have against Young Thug, as they just randomly decided to bring that up inside of the courtroom. This would then even lead into Young Thug's girlfriend speaking on when he'll be released, and as well as the plans that they have when he gets out.
Do you think that marriage is the next step for you, Young Thug?
I mean, when he gets out of jail?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think either of us want a jail wedding. Yeah, but I feel like he definitely wants to be married, and I feel like I do too.
Do you ever imagine life outside once he's out?
For sure. We talk about it all day. Okay. All day long. I mean, I feel like being imaginative can help every human being on earth not lose your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, it is like a little slight state of delusion.